Just a few days ago, we brought to you a rather curious story that was buried deep within a Wall Street Journal article. As of Tuesday last week, some 22% of shares for the Walt Disney Company had been cast, according to people familiar with the matter. Among those who at the time had already cast their votes, Nelson Peltz was leading Disney director Maria Elena Lagomasino, while Jay Rasulo, the other name on the Trian slate, had so far failed to gain much of a foothold with shareholders. A spokesman for Disney said that leaking an early vote count was, quote, a highly inappropriate attempt to sway votes. And if you recall, when that story came out and we reported on it, we wholeheartedly agreed. Any such leak of an early vote count is highly inappropriate. But a lot of folks out there had a knee-jerk reaction thinking that, oh, this was something done intentionally to boost Nelson Peltz. But there was a couple of problems with that theory. One of which was an argument that could be made exactly in the opposite direction, suggesting that those who most ardently support Bob Iger would be galvanized to get their votes in instead of maybe just leaving them sit on the table as some investors often do. But lo and behold, here we are on Tuesday, April 2nd, less than 24 hours before the annual shareholder meeting. And now we have an update in the vote count itself following announcements by BlackRock and T. Rowe Price. And now you can add seemingly rumored to be Vanguard to the list with their largest single stake at a little over 8% of Disney stock. They have reportedly voted for the Bob Iger slate. But that's not the real story. Walt Disney has pulled ahead in its proxy battle against Nelson Peltz's Trian partners with more than half of all shares voted, according to people familiar with the matter. Curious that this time there seemed to be no unnamed Disney spokesman to make a comment once again about the inappropriate nature of these early leaks. And this begs the question, where then did the original leak even come from? And is it in fact the same source as this second leak? Wall Street hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman just recently posted this evening on X. And this is something I want everybody to pay close attention to. Quote, there have been a few recent articles in the press about Disney winning its proxy contest with Nelson Peltz based on early election returns that have been leaked to the media. We don't have an investment in Disney, but I thought it useful to point out the inappropriateness of these leaks to the press. Only the company and its advisors have access to how shareholders have voted before the day of the annual meeting. My understanding is that it is illegal to release the outcome of the vote prior to it being finalized, as it has the effect of manipulating the outcome. Here, the company and or its advisors, this would be the third-party advisors that actually collect the vote data for Disney, have leaked that Disney is winning the contest. It really is inappropriate that they have done so. And how does one know that it is Disney or its advisors that are the source of the leak? Ackman says if Peltz were winning, there would be no leaks to the press. The reason why the progress of an election for directors must be kept confidential until the results are final is that leaking the results can affect the ultimate outcome. Institutional shareholders like mutual funds, people like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, T. Rowe Price, the list goes on, worry about offending management, in this case of Disney, by voting with an activist like Nelson Peltz. They are concerned that if management learns that they have voted against the incumbent directors, they may lose access to management going forward. In other words, Bob Iger is less likely to come visit and or take a call with a shareholder if the shareholder voted with the dissident. This is clearly a close elections. Institutions don't want to risk voting against the incumbent board if it's clear that the activist will lose. They want to be on the winning side of the election. Here, the company and or its advisors have leaked the early results in order to tip more institutions and other shareholders to vote for the incumbent board, unfairly tipping the scale in the incumbent board's favor. In other words, an institution may think if Peltz is going to lose, it's not worth taking the risk of offending management, Disney Bob Iger management, by voting for Peltz. This is unfortunately not an uncommon practice. Years ago, in our proxy contest, that would be with part of Pershing that Ackman runs with ADP, the company and or its advisors did the same thing. The SEC, that's the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States, should do a thorough investigation of this proxy contest, talking specifically about Disney, and appropriately punish whoever is responsible for this miscarriage of shareholder governance and justice. Companies of the caliber of Disney and or its advisors should not behave this way. Lastly, but importantly, I think highly of Nelson Peltz. I am sure he would be greatly additive as a member of the Disney board. Ask yourself, why is the company fighting so hard to keep him off? The fact that the company leaked the early returns to the media is further evidence that an activist of Nelson's caliber deserves to be on this board for all shareholders' benefit. Based on my knowledge of Nelson's capabilities and the dirty tricks implemented by the company and its advisors, I strongly recommend that shareholders vote for Nelson Peltz on the Disney board. Institutions who have already voted still have time to change their vote. It is time that we make an example of Disney here so that this bad practice does not continue to poison shareholder democracy. And again, Bill Ackman, CEO of Pershing, tweeted this out to his over 1 million followers. Is Disney engaged in dirty pool with this proxy fight? One may be forgiven for thinking that that's a distinct possibility, but as Mr. Ackman points out, that may be something for the United States Securities and Exchange Commission to look into themselves. Make sure you join us at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time for the Walt Disney Company annual shareholder meeting on Wednesday, April 3rd. You're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.